I'd like to thank students and staff taking the time to share this event with us, and you're going to go through and see some of the expectations and general information about our sixth form, and hopefully at the end of the session we'll be here to answer any of your questions. Firstly, I'd like to give you some background information on our previous year's results. As you can see from last academic year, our percentages for the A-level results. This represented the top 10% of UK sixth formers achieving an ALPS score of 2, which is a score of outstanding. Again, last year for our Btec results, for those parents who are not familiar with the vocational programs, a D is the equivalent to an A star and an A. Again, you can see the high percentage of 82.5%, which again represented the top 10% of the UK sixth form providers. From last year, we had many students who completed the A-level programs, attending lots of various subjects and attending Russell Group universities. Again, with our Btec achievers achieving 2 D stars and above and distinctions, again, they went to various Russell Group universities studying various types of subjects. This is the sixth form structure here at Lea Valley. Myself, Miss Khan, who is the Senior Sixth Form Progress Lead. I specialise in the vocational programmes of Btec Level 3. You are then joined by my colleague, Miss Mizuraka, who is the Sixth Form Progress Lead and who specialises with the A-level programmes. Miss Comer is our sixth form student manager, who is based in our office and who deals with the day-to-day running of the sixth form, and she is the first point of call for students while the rest of us are busy teaching. Mr. Bouchot, at the top of the, sorry if we can go back, at the top of the structure is our trust director of sixth forms. He oversees sixth form here at Lea Valley Academy and at Edmonton County. I'm now going to pass you over to Mr. Boucher.
Right, in terms of how to maximise achievement, the most important part is developing independent study skills. The step from year 11 to 12 is huge, and one of the key areas there that students need to develop, because they haven't really had the opportunity beforehand, is working outside of the classroom. And that means in terms of working in independent study rooms, which probably around half of their time in school will be. It's making sure that they're prepared in advance before they actually come into school, knowing the work that they're going to need to be doing. A few other areas, in particular, these are more about preparing them for university applications, is being able to give a range of skills that they can write about, and that can come in the form of work experience, placements, what's called community contributions, and that's them working with not just the local community, but actually within school. I'm helping especially students in lower school and what's called our Lead Learners program, and that's where students actually start leading elements of the learning of others in their classroom, but also lower school classes. Now currently that is a bit of a problem with the whole COVID situation, because students have to stay within their year groups. Hopefully that will change in the upcoming months, but we will work tirelessly to make sure that they have as many opportunities as possible to add as much as they can to their UCAS application. One thing I would say, that there are other online courses that they can look at. MOOCs is an example of something that they can look at to not just widen their reading, but also add a lot more to their UCAS application. Further reading, and what I mean by that is not necessarily just the textbooks from their courses, but wider reading, which all subject teachers can provide for them. And there's another course called EPQ, Extended Project. Now that's just a course that universities really like students doing, because it's a type of course that prepares them for, again, independent study for university. I would say that for any year 12 student, if they're coming home and they're saying they've got nothing to do, there's a lot of work that students need to do. The big difference from lower school is that the work that they now need to do, they need to prepare for themselves. We plant the seeds in the classroom, but they now need to go off and work on those areas. In terms of the expectations within independent study, as I've said before, they need to start planning in advance. So before they enter independent study, they already should know in advance what they're doing. So for example, if they have a lesson period 3 and 4 in a subject, be it sociology, periods 1 and 2 in independent study should not be seen as free time. They're starting to prepare in advance, start doing some reading in advance. So when they enter the classroom, they can already hit the ground running. Now, we don't necessarily like students using mobile phones in independent study, but if they are, it's purely for research purposes. They shouldn't be using it for any other reason. I would say that currently in the first half term, we haven't pushed that as much as we could have, because I'm also aware that in the first half term, they're getting to understand what it means to be an independent student. But recently they've had their assessments, their first round of assessments. Data window 1 will be coming around very soon, and that should hopefully inform not just for students but for those of you at home that are supporting the students, understanding where the gaps are in their learning, what are the courses that they're not doing as well in, and then working on those areas, like I said, in independent study. Now, subjects, departments should be given what's called a 3-piece homework diet. And that means looking at past, present and future. Now, looking at past means that the work that they've already covered, they should already now be turning those notes into good revision cards, be it revision flashcards, it could be mind maps, whatever it may be, but starting to work on preparing for upcoming assessments and end of year assessments and exams. Bear in mind that we will be having AS exams for those that are doing A-levels. In terms of present, the work that will be set is developing what they already know. Further reading could be homework based on the stuff that they've covered in their lesson. So it's tasks that are set for present learning. And then for the future, it's preparing in advance, again using independent study also if needed, for upcoming work. I also mentioned their MOOCs. For those of you that haven't heard that before, that's what you need to investigate online. MOOCs MOOCs, a range of courses. It's some really good courses that students can choose in line with their interests. So if there's a particular area that might be interested in doing at university or for the future, they can type in that area of interest and they can do a course linked to that. Now I'll pass you over to Ms. Muzuraka, who will give a little bit more with regards to A-level expectations.
Good evening, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm just going to run through the A-level expectations. All A-level students, and starting in year 12 right through to year 13 when we conclude, will be expected to complete all work set by. Also set work through form tutors, like 5 to attend form in the morning, as we work through the UCAS applications and work on Unifrog, which is a program that we work through to help out with additional courses that you can apply on online, which is MOOCs, so they can apply through it through Unifrog. During independent study time, students are expected to work in student area. They can work in subject areas, if this is, or in the library. Library is a quiet area, and all areas that can access a laptop or work on. Students are all expected internal subject assessment. Now these are set all by subject teachers. So if you're an A-level student, you'll be sitting pre-assessment during the first half term, and then second and the third as we go. Tend to be every half term. If you're a Btec, you will be sitting your assessments through the courses that you run through. Students are expected to meet all the deadline dates. It is crucial that they meet these deadline dates because work is marked, it's assessed, and then it's placed on the school system, and parents are informed later how the students. If students have any concerns regarding this, you need to speak to their subject. As soon as you speak to the subject teachers, we're humans, we can support you in any process that you need. So if you need additional time, or if there's a test, we can. Lea Valley Academy sixth formers are appropriately in and around school premises, setting good examples to lower school. As much as our sixth formers don't believe this, the lower school do look up to the students. Please remember this, as you are their aspiration in lower school.
Yeah, thank you. Btec Expectations. Just for those parents who are unfamiliar with Btec, Btec works slightly different to A-level in terms of the assessments they complete are live and they are working on them throughout the 2-year programme. They do need to work independently when they are issued their internal assessments by their class teachers, and they do have to abide by the deadlines given. Now, your child would have received an induction for Btec in the beginning of September this year, as well as had an induction with their subject teacher. Obviously, the expectations have been laid out very clear, and so for internal assessments, any research they undertake as part of that assessment should be referenced. This includes any images or even any quotes within their coursework. As I stated earlier, the work has to be submitted by a submission date. All submission dates must be given to students prior, so they are aware of when they have to hand in their work. Failure to submit work on that day will really mean that they cannot resubmit the work. These are guidelines not from Lea Valley, but the guidelines from the examining body itself. All work that is submitted has to be signed and dated to ensure that they are confirming there is no plagiarism. Again, internal assessments must be saved onto the school area. If you are unclear about Btec or would like further information, at the end of this session, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And I'm sure your child has explained to you how Btec works and the practical elements that is involved in internal assessments. Next one. In terms of a day of a life of a sixth former, it really has some similarities to when they were a year 11, but also has some differences. I'm assuming that your child is now more independent, and so it's up to them to get their equipment and books ready for the next day. We do recommend that they do this the night before. This, so as you can appreciate, prepares them for future career paths and employment. They should be arriving to school at 8:30, and their dress code is smart business attire. So this does not include hoodies or any sportswear tops, baseball caps, or anything that is inappropriate that you would not want to see in a business environment. Again, due to the COVID rules, face masks must be worn as soon as they get enter into the building and to their designated area. They are registered with their form tutor and they will complete the relevant form activities. Again, as explained, all activities have been designed as part of their programme of informing them of how to complete their course and any other activities that supports them as part of being a sixth former. They should be fully engaged in all lessons and attend all lessons, and obviously being on time and having the correct equipment. And completing tasks, as we said, whether it be A-level or Btec, on time by the subject teacher. 11 AM is their lunchtime. They have the facilities of the school canteen, or they can take a very healthy brisk walk down the road to the local shops and supermarkets, but they must ensure they are back on time. At present, our lunch hour is approximately 25 minutes, and so we do recommend they do bring in their own lunch to avoid getting back late. Now, during independent study time, they can complete their subject work along with any extended reading that has been discussed, and also exam papers. For Btec students, this would be an ideal time for them to complete their coursework independently. Again, they have the facilities to use school laptops in the study zone, or they may have the use of the library that has desktop computers. Again, they can utilise this time to research on universities and any career research. Again, after school, they are welcome to stay and go to the library, as well as they will attend school interventions. These have been designated on specific days, and your child would be informed to allow you to know of these details. Please can I ask that you check all equipment is provided for your child, as we want to make the day of the life of a sixth former as comfortable as possible. Again, you may, as a parent, check on Show My Homework to ensure they are completing their homework, as I know grade books are completed. So it's a way of you tracking that they are on track for their sixth form life. Thank you. I now pass you on to Ms. Mizuraka.
I am just going to quickly run through the timelines. So these are key points for Year 12 students running through this year. So at the moment, we are just concluding our subject assessments 1, which means students were assessed internally, and this data will be placed on the school system and parents will then be informed. The following week, which is next week or the week after, the Monday the 16th, we are starting a Unifrog program. It's a pastoral program that runs through from Year 12 right the way through to 13. It supports our students with how to write personal statements. It gives careers advice, also shows students how to apply to apprenticeships, which are higher education apprenticeships, as well as further educational apprenticeships. On top of that, on there you can apply to online university courses. When they complete this online, they run for between 4 weeks to 12-week courses. It's allocated an hour slot each week. They have to submit the work, and then they will get a qualification, a certificate from the university of the course that they applied for. So that starts on the following week, and that carries on throughout the whole Year 12 and 13. We have our first PPE exams, that is known as mock exams, on the week commencing the 8th of March right through to the 19th, and straight after that staff will mark all the paperwork and parents will be aware of their grades. Now this has come around very quickly, which is the UCAS registration. March 2021, which is only just around the corner, is when we start the UCAS application. We register online and the process of the online application concludes at the end of Year 12. Students will start to write their personal statement then, however it's not concluded until the following year. Now you can officially send off your UCAS application beginning of September 2021, when that's at the beginning of Year 13. However, most of our students don't tend to send them until November, because at that point we then clarify specifics, such as, is that exactly the subject you want to study at university? Next subject assessment is in June, and you can see there that's the results there, and that's for the A-level students and the Btec, and completed first draft of your personal statements at the end of Year 12. So Year 12 students need to know roughly what they're doing. Now I've put their first draft. Quite often we have students at the end of Year 12 a bit confused what they want to study, so they will write first draft. You can rewrite it completely when we come back in Year 13 if you decide that I was planning to do some sort of course with, let's say, art, and then I've decided to refine it more and now I'm going to study architecture. I'd like to highlight and point out, however, that the end of this year, May or June, that's when it will be running, 2021, which is the end of Year 12, all Year 12 studying A-levels will be sitting AS level exams. So it's a formal exam in a formal hall, and you will get a formal AS qualification at the end. So it concludes the year. Once you come back into Year 13, then we will roll into the second half, which is the A-level course. But you have to complete your AS level exam at the end of Year 12. So that's just to clarify how you conclude the Year 12s. I'm now going to conclude the evening, and we're going to leave the night open to the parents and students that would like to ask questions. So we'll be waiting for you for any questions, and then we'll be answering live. Thank you for coming to the event. Hope you enjoyed it and found it informative.
Right, a few questions have already come our way. One question that's been released: can my son still change one of his courses? The answer to that is no. And the reason that is because we're now 2 months into the courses. It would be too late to then start something new and then be able to catch up. So what we're currently doing is we've got our first range of assessments. The assessments will inform how they're doing. The aim would be then that we can then work on intervention to plug the gaps of the areas that that they still need to be working on. But the answer would be no now. It would be too late to change to one of their courses. Next question that's come up is, when do university applications start? I'll pass that back over to Miss Mizuraka.
University applications. We start the UCAS process in March. So that's when we register to the UCAS. That's marching for year 12s. The application process is finished off at the end. You can still tweak it. We do not send it off officially until November 2022 for the following year. So it will be when they are in, let me see, November in year 13 is when we send it. So that's when we actually send the application off. The whole process of application now is completed online from March to July this year.
Right, a question that's come my way is, do we have exams at the end of year 12 or year 13? Right, if you're doing A-levels, we've introduced ASs, so exams will be taking place both in year 12 and in year 13. So currently, we're not 100% sure how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but currently the expectations are saying around June. So exams for year 12 and year 13, end of May, beginning of June. Another question, if I want to go to university, am I better with A-level or Btec? To be perfectly honest, it's exactly the same. You now have distinction star, which is the equivalent of an A star. You've got an A, which is the equivalent of a distinction. You've got a C grade, which is the equivalent of a merit, and you've got an E grade, which is the equivalent of a pass. Btecs are not like they used to be. Btecs are a lot harder, and that's why universities see them in the same way in terms of the points that are given. So to be perfectly honest, if you're looking to go to university, it's all about getting the highest grades possible, be it at A-level or at Btec. The next question, what support do you give to students who don't want to go to university? I'll pass that actually to Ms. Mizuraka.
Okay, what support do we put in for students that are not applying for university? Form time, we work on personal statements. On top of that, we also write CV writing. Now, the package that we sign up for, which our year 12s will be signing on to next week, which is Unifrog, has amazing careers advice on there. So they complete work on there to complete what to do. On top of that, it also has apprenticeships. Now, they are further education apprenticeships and higher apprenticeships. Now, the further education apprenticeships are linked to colleges, so they will go to a college and then do 2-3 days work. So the apprenticeships works like that, so they get paid and they're learning at the same time. And higher apprenticeships, that's when it's degree level, so they'll be applying to the university for 2 days a week, working 3 days, or vice versa. They have got lots of these courses on the Unifrog program, so all they need to do is sign up. Once they sign up, they go through the process. Now, the process is an application, it's CV writing. They also have to put a personal statement in. So the personal statements that we write in class are relevant to both types, whether you're applying to university or if you're applying to apprenticeships. If the student plans to go into full-time work, we also support students with that by writing references, helping them write their CVs, and this all happens in form times. On top of form times, we have careers days, and we have got a student manager, which Ms. Comer can assist you, or you can just ask any member of staff that's related to the subject you want to study further to support that.
Right, we've also got, in fact, 2 similar questions. Can my daughter go home during free lessons and my son doesn't have period 1 lessons, can they come in late? No, is the answer. And in particular, it's linked back to what I've mentioned earlier about independent study sessions. The first half term hasn't been as focused in independent study because they haven't, had the feedback, the depth of feedback to know how to move forward and improve on their work. Now the assessment's starting to come thick and fast, it's imperative that they're coming in and they're doing the work from the beginning, from period 1. If they're not in their lesson, their subject lesson, there'll be an independent study session, and that's a period when they're brushing up on their work. And as I've said before, it's not just about their current work, past work, future work, be it further reading, be it past work, working on revision pieces to prepare for the end of year exams, or whether it's coursework based or controlled assessment based or exam based, there's work to do. So the expectation is that you're in from the beginning of the day until the end of the school day. Next question. What help do students get for university applications? I think Ms. Mizuraka had already answered that. I think someone's asked about when can you apply for sixth form? So I think it might be a year 11 that's currently on this thread. We'll be having our virtual evening for year 11s on the 19th of November, so 2 weeks from today. So 2 weeks from today will be open for year 11s. We've got, if you look on our website, as from tomorrow, we'll have a trailer and more information. We'll have a 5:30 and a 6:30 session, again, question and answer session for any year 11s that are interested. And from then the application process starts, and the deadline, I believe, is the 11th of January. Next question, how many grades do you get when you do an extended diploma? I will now pass you over to Miss Khan, who's just sitting in her seat. There we go.
Hello. An extended diploma is equivalent to 3 A-levels. So I hope that answers your question. In terms of the Btec programme, just want to clarify for those that are unsure. Btecs, how they differ to A-levels, the course consists of units, and over the 2 years there are 13 units. 4 of those units are exam based, so you do actually experience the exam outline of a course, as well as completing internal assessments, which is coursework. For those 4 exams, you can take them up to 3 times. So that's where the slight difference comes in with A-levels. So yes, extended diploma is worth 3 A-levels.
Is that back over to me?
I think that's coming back to you, Mr. Boucher.
Well, thank you. And that, now we've had no more questions. Feel free to contact the sixth form team, either through email or through your child. More than happy to answer any more questions. I hope that you found this evening informative. I'd like to give a huge thanks to the sixth form team that have helped today, in particular Ms. Komar, Ms. Mizuraka, and to Ms. Khan. And I hope, like I said, that you found it informative. Good evening, and thank you.